I want you to see if you can invent a creature that could live here amongst all these beautiful flowers. Okay?
So what you need to understand is this environment, what the tree has to grow in the space, is not friendly. And look at it, it's heaving up the cement.
What's this big thing? Huh? Cabbage, yeah, red cabbage. I mean, that color, where do you see that color? It's quite unusual.
It's a great place. It's a pleasant place to come and just relax and look around, and it's a beautiful scenery inside of a city.
This is Somerville, Massachusetts, 77,000 people living in 4 square miles of land outside of Boston. It's the most densely populated city in New England. With so many people and so little land, the question of adequate green space for the populace becomes a very touchy issue. Someone recently tallied up how the land in Somerville is being used, and it turns out that only 3% of it is designated as open space. And this 3% includes all paved schoolyards in the city. A few years ago, a small group of dedicated individuals from city agencies and nonprofit organizations decided to develop a small parcel of land for a garden. And not a typical neighborhood garden like the many scattered around town, but an educational community growing center with an emphasis on teaching city youth about the environment and horticulture.
If it was nothing else than playing in a garden, running over a dirt pile, seeing a flower or a tomato growing. We've had kids who've never seen a tomato grow before, or looked at a pine cone in its immature state. So they could come here and learn.
The group took their idea to Mayor Michael Capuano, who has a strong record of developing environmental programs in the city.
We thought it was a great idea, and I particularly like the way they're using it. They're using it as a way to educate other people as to, especially young children, how to go about greening up their own space and taking care of things, teaching them how to plant trees and how to take care of plants. I think it's been great, and the neighborhood accepted it with open arms and has actually embraced it. And it's become a very valuable citywide resource.
The mayor encouraged the group to develop the lot where the old Southern Junior High used to sit. This is the cornerstone from the building, now a permanent fixture in the growing center. And before the Industrial Revolution, this entire area was farmland. So today, the growing center spans the collective history of the land as both garden and educational center.
Now you know how long it took these little fellows to grow. Now, we're going to come and we're going to make a circle out in the front, and we're going to let Katie, because today's her day to be helper, open the box, and we'll see if they come out. So leave all your backpacks and everything right where you're sitting.
In late spring, students and teachers from nearby Cummings School visited the Growing Center to conclude their lesson on the life stages of butterflies.
Want to help?
Yay!
That's great. Look at them go free.
The magnet theme for the Cummings School is science, math, and the environment. And because of its close proximity to the Growing Center, many more activities have been planned for the future school years. The Growing Center was awarded a National Garden Association Youth Gardening Grant through its collaboration with the students.
They've come over here and practiced being butterflies and bees and really looked at how do you take that experience to teach children, because it's not automatic. We'll see in a few minutes that it has to be thought out, and things can happen in nature, and that's part of what we teach, is that you can't always be in control and that you need to be flexible and take things into account.
There you go, that's it, Scotty, and lay it down where you think you might like it.
The Growing Center also broadens high school students' variety of skills by providing a place to do some hands-on landscaping. This is Frank Carey's Buildings and Grounds vocational education class.
At one time, the program just covered the building maintenance, interior and exterior grounds. But now we're outside really working with the soil and plants and horticulture and building walls and learning all those new skills.
Earlier in the year, the high school and Cummings students celebrated Arbor Day in a contemplative manner. Each class planted a tree in memory of 2 fellow students who died this past school year. One student died of cancer. The other, a young adolescent girl, was murdered.
And this tree will always be here in memory of Deanna Cremens, and remembering that violence is not needed in our society. And the children will see this dogwood tree and remember that we should be a peaceful nation, a peaceful school system, and a peaceful community. And I have to thank the Community Center for doing the kinds of things they're doing. And there's Michael and some of the students in the 6th grade and Zachary Waters, and they're all happy to be here.
I'm going to have you turn the water off, let that soak down, and then we'll water it again. Carlos, right in the well. Wait, hold him. Harbor crew?
Harbor crew?
In order to reach more children throughout the city, the Community Growing Center collaborates with a number of nonprofit organizations. Eagle Eye Institute is an agency committed to providing young urban people with hands-on exploratory learning on the environment. They've taught outdoor classes at the Growing Center and are even building a bird sanctuary in the far corner. Funding for this project is coming from Mayor Capuano's Neighborhood Improvement Council grants. But Eagle Eye's main goal is bridging gaps between urban and rural environments for kids who might not otherwise be exposed to the lush greenery of the deep woods. Here, over 100 miles from the Boston area in the Berkshires, kids are taken on day and overnight trips, seeing firsthand all the different types of plants and animals that grow in the wild.
Yeah, you gotta have some or you don't know what it is.
Back in Somerville, the same students take what they've learned and apply it to the urban setting.
Feel that stuff?
You know, kids come out there and they see a lot of trees and they see a lot of different things, but when they come home, they don't recognize necessarily that the trees in our own neighborhood are equally as important.
Anthony Sanchez is co-founder of Eagle Eye Institute.
So we're trying to teach kids trees are more important than just tying your bike chain around it or kicking it or breaking branches or hitting on it, but they have other values and we need to take care of them.
So, here's the paint. Here's the snail. Cover it. Please. Nice, thick strokes. It's gesso, and it's going to put a strong layer on our snail.
One city agency that works closely with the Community Growing Center is the Somerville Arts Council. During the Growing Center's 2-year existence, the Arts Council has been instrumental in helping fund various art and development projects. This past summer, the Growing Center in turn provided the site for an Arts in the Park program for area children, running Monday through Thursday all summer long.
I had a little boy say to me yesterday, he was just here on Monday, he came, and he said, you know, everyone here is so nice. And that's really nice because sometimes I go to different places and people aren't nice, but they're all nice in your garden. And oh, that's so sweet.
It's called Art Without Walls, and funding for this Somerville Arts Council program came from a community development block grant, the Parks Trust Organization, and the Polaroid Foundation. Here's just a sample of some of the art the students created. For adults with mental retardation, the Growing Center provides a quiet place to work, tend the garden, and grow their own vegetables. These adults are from the nonprofit Walnut Street Center, based in Somerville.
You know, it promotes independence and socialization. They're all a lot more sociable with each other now that we come as a group, and they become a lot more friendly with each other, and they call each other at home now, so they become a great little group together.
What are some of the things that you grow?
Tomatoes, squash, peppers, flowers, squash, string beans, pumpkins.
Wow.
Yeah, we have our own plot. It's up in the top of the hill there. It's got a sign in front of it. And the purpose is just for people to, get the feeling of accomplishment when they grow it and they see it, and they can pick it and take it home to their families to enjoy.
For 2 years in a row, Boston's Tibetan community celebrated the Dalai Lama's birthday at the Community Growing Center. Prayers were chanted, women and men danced, and trees were planted as part of the ceremony.
Usually His Holiness Dalai Lama really put emphasis on planting, and he's a very, very strong environmentalist. So his main idea, one of the main ideas, to plant, trees or whatever, wherever you can.
Juniper was burned to purify the environment. The throwing of flour was a prayer in order that positive energy be victorious, all in honor of their exiled leader.
We are always very optimistic, and we believe in the truth. When people or the world maybe recognizes the truth, I think truth will prevail. We never give up. It may take some time, but we're very hopeful.
And what's this? Tomato. Anybody know what this is growing next to them?
For anyone coming to the Growing Center for the first time, Lisa Brukillachio is happy to give a tour.
What's this? No, we have that someplace else. No, it's not beets.
Oh, radish.
Radish. Yes, this is a radish. You can pass that around. We can chop it up for lunch.
These students have studied with the Eagle Eye Institute and are part of another nonprofit agency, the Somerville Community Partnership.
There's mint, sage, basil, 3 kinds of basil, coriander. We'll get a sample sampler. This is a jostaberry. Anybody ever hear of a gooseberry or a currant? So how would you describe that taste?
Pungent.
Pungent, yeah. Currants are kind of tart, but I like tart fruit. We have a kids art and nature program 4 days a week, and they made this snail. Realistically, we don't have a lot of snails here. We have slugs, which are like snails with no shells. Oh, this is cool. This is a mullein plant. Feel the leaves. They're really soft and fuzzy.
Like below?
Yeah, they used to cut this off and dip it in oil and use it for a torch back in Roman times. And we have a little sunflower house. You can go in. It's one of the shadiest places. Yeah, go check it out. I've been asked what the rags are for. I've also been asked by children tours who's hanging their laundry in the garden. These are prayer flags. They were hung here by the Tibetan community of Greater Boston, a lot of whom live in Somerville. They have come here 2 years in a row to plant trees in honor of the Dalai Lama's birthday, who's sort of the head of their population that's in exile. So the prayer flags have prayer. You can see like little sort of black scribbles on them. They have the words of prayers, and the story is that the wind blows through them, as it is now, and then that spreads the sort of the good wishes of the prayers around the area. So you're getting prayers blown at you. I hope that's okay. As you're walking down, let's go down the stairs. Look at the brick pattern in the lawn. It's called a labyrinth. I heard someone call it a maze. Labyrinth is an ancient sort of design. It's laid out a very specific way, and it was used historically by kings and priests and all sorts of people to help them in their daily lives, making decisions, helping them to relax, calm down, whatever. Right now, there's the woman who helped us build this is doing medical research into how walking the labyrinth helps people with certain diseases. So we're going to wind up our tour by walking the labyrinth. If nothing else, it's just a good time to sort of get a little exercise and walk in a circle and end up in the center of the Growing Center. Okay?
Throughout the year, the Growing Center goes through a variety of visual changes. The season begins in the brown hues of early spring. Here's Walnut Street's plot in April. Here it is again in September. During the season, the Growing Center was lucky enough to have urban forestry interns who learned to care for newly planted city trees.
This tree, the way it's delivered, is called balled and burlapped. So the roots are in a big ball, and they wrap it up in burlap to keep it moist. So what we ought to do is water this. Okay, you want to do that?
Funding for the tree crew was provided by the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Management. The skills they learn make them good candidates for teaching others about urban tree care. Another angle of community involvement with the Growing Center is Neighborhood Garden as urban performance area. For the past 2 years, the center has been host to a number of performers throughout the seasons. Hip-hop dancers, folk artists, community theater, dancing stilt walkers, English country dances, and animation film festivals all have been held within its fences. And after so many different performances, it was apparent that a permanent stage needed to be constructed. With grants from the Somerville Arts Council, the Massachusetts Cultural Council, and the National Endowment for the Arts, the Growing Center held an outdoor stage design competition. Landscape architects from across the country submitted proposals. The winner was Neil Kirkwood, an architect who has designed stages for a number of gardens in Europe. After receiving input from the community at public meetings, Neil came up with 2 designs entitled Water in the City. Both work with water as a base, but one is particularly interesting. It's called the Lost River and recollects the old Miller's River that used to run through the city. Making way for the Industrial Revolution, Miller's River was filled in. So through this stage design, an historical narrative will continue on what was once in this area. Some say history repeats itself. Others look back at history and recall times when people worked the land, tended plots, and reaped a bountiful harvest. So as we move into the 21st century with our laptops hooked to the internet, where virtual crops are grown by virtual gardeners, it's endearing to know that a small group of residents and city workers had the foresight to take the ancient concept of a garden and use it as a radically new teaching tool. Somerville's Community Growing Center.